This video is more or less bits and pieces of things that we've been doing on the plot over the last few days.
Our last couple of trips to the plot have all been about, or most of it's been about getting stuff ready for next year. So in this bed we'd had some spring cabbage plants, which I can't remember the variety it was now. April, I think it was. It's a good name for a spring cabbage, isn't it? But they obviously needed transplanting. They weren't going to get much bigger, or they weren't going to grow. Oh, excuse me. They needed moving. They've got to be under some environment, or the pigeons will have them through winter. So although this ground is absolutely bone dry, it was pretty tricky getting stuff out of this ground. They've now been moved to a bed where they can grow on, ready for next spring, or hopefully we'll get a crop of spring cabbages in April, as the name suggests. I'll have a whiz over to where they've been planted. So they've gone in this bed. They look a bit sorry for themselves at the minute. Each row's had a couple of canfuls of water. I spread a can in the holes where I planted them, and then each row has then had a can sprinkled on to settle them in. Hopefully they'll buck up and they'll be okay. At the minute they look to be good plants, so hopefully they'll grow on and provide us with some decent cabbage next spring.
Whilst Martin has been planting spring cabbage, I've been doing what I consider to be my least favourite job on the plot, which is wrangling the tayberry. That's all the debris I've got out so far. It's all chopped into small pieces. If it wasn't, all the debris would probably be my head height. So like the black raspberry, the idea is to take out all the canes that are fruited this year, all the old canes, and just to retain a few of the new canes. So on this clump here I've saved, I think it's about 4. Anything thin and straggly is removed. So I'm about halfway through. It's hot, but I've got to keep my fleece on, because if not, whatever else I'm wearing would just be torn to shreds. And it's not particularly easy to tie in the canes wearing gloves, but if you don't, you regret it. Anyway, suppose I better get on.
I've finished transplanting our spring cabbages. I've left a few that I didn't need in the original bed where they were sown. They've been thinned out a bit. Again, they're really dry. I've given them a good water. I'll just leave these now and see if we get anything out of them. Now we'll have a quick wander over to where all the others are transplanted, or where they've been transplanted into our late brassica bed.
Well, thank goodness I finished pruning the tayberry. I haven't come out with too many injuries, but I'm very hot and sweaty, although you don't really need to know that, do you? Still got the blackberry to prune when it finishes fruiting, but that's a doddle because it's thornless, and so it's friendly. It's friendly pruning, I'd call it. This is just downright aggressive. Anyway, I'm going to water the leeks now.
It was a real job being so dry. Sue's watering the leeks at the minute. And there's a few prunings there from our plum trees. They'll stay there and hopefully they'll get burnt come bonfire night, or somewhere near bonfire night. So these brassicas look quite good under this Enviromesh. Hoping for some decent crops over there. And there's a butterfly under there. So these are our April spring cabbages under Enviromesh to protect from cabbage white butterflies, but obviously in this case it's not going to unless I get that butterfly out. I did find 3 plums when I was doing the tree, 3 or 4 plums. It's quite a bonus, that. Marjorie's seedling they were.
The brassicas are covered with some brand new Enviromesh, no holes in it at all. So we thought they were safe. And they're growing quite well. In fact, very well. I had noticed some butterflies under the netting, but they looked like small white butterflies, and I thought they were probably hatchlings from some caterpillars that we found earlier on. We found some small white butterfly caterpillars, the little green ones, sort of a few months ago really, and I thought maybe we'd miss some. Well, maybe they weren't small white butterflies after all, because today when we came we found that a lot of the brassicas looked nibbled, well, more than nibbled. Looked as though somebody had had a really good feast. And when we looked, there were lots of large white butterfly caterpillars. They're the stripy ones, and they're the ones that do most damage, because the large white butterfly lays big clumps of eggs in one place, whereas the small white lays them individually, so you tend not to get quite as many caterpillars. These are what we've managed to remove. Some are trying to make an escape. They're obviously trying to head back to the cabbages. Well, they're not going to manage it. I think some birds might get a tasty treat before too long. If you want to see how devastating they are, I'll put a little link to one of the videos that we did a few years ago, just showing how much they munch their way through your brassicas. Anyway, before these escape, I better decide what we're going to do with them. So, our second harvest of the last few days.
Yeah, we've got some nice safari beans, a first. A suggestion from Cumbrian Homestead.
I've thrown one out of the package. I can't get it.
Anyway, the suggestion
that could be
was
the tastiest one as well.
The suggestion was we could sow those where our early potatoes came from, and we'd get a catch crop, and we have. So
they're safari, aren't they? Did you say that already?
No idea. Anyway, they're safari. We've got some more all gold raspberries still going well.
Even though we keep thinking they're going to finish, don't we? And they produce some more.
An excellent Clapton cauliflower, which we're having some for dinner tonight.
Yep.
Some dahlias, they just keep on producing.
They've done really well, especially the orange Sylvia. The pink are Franz Kafka, and I don't remember what the red ones were, because we only got those this year, didn't we?
And I don't know any of them. we've picked, or rather picked up, a few pears that had fallen off the tree. So there's some red Williams.
Quite a few have fallen off from being eaten by ants.
Yeah, the ants
haven't
were in them. Where slugs had got in, the holes have now been taken over by ants.
We ate them, don't we? Ants.
We do. And the others are invincible, aren't they? They'd fallen off as well.
There's loads of those on the tree, isn't there?
Don't know when to pick them really.
Soon, I think, because if they're falling off, they must be ready to be picked, mustn't they?
Maybe. A Calibro cabbage that's pretty solid.
It is. Nice firm cabbage.
Some dried flowers.
Yeah, I sowed more of these, but this is all I've got really. These are Helichrysum and these are Gomphrena. They're meant to be for a potpourri, but it'll be a very small potpourri, won't it?
It's better than no.
I have got some statice to go with them as well.
And these are just about the last of the tomatoes out of the greenhouse. There's some Shirley, more or less 2 tubs of Albenga with a few tiny Romas.
The Roma's
for good
strange
measure.
shape, that one.
I know, well, it's that contaminated what's it stuff that's done it.
Yeah, it should be more of a plum shape, and it's got.
It's a mini
bit
Albenga.
It should be that sort of shape.
Yeah, but 2 or 3 times as big.
Yeah. Even those, though, they look more like those little peppers than
And tomatoes.
tomatoes.
Anyway, that's it. Packing up.
Yeah.
Off for dinner now.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching. Bye.
Bye.
For now.